Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I'm Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me once again. What I want to talk about in this video is apparently another retail store in San Francisco, a hat retail store that was very, very popular is now closing down. And their argument is that the reason why they're closing down is, among other things, looting. Now, I am not surprised about this at all because we have the same issue in the city of Cleveland, and we're having the same issue in the city of Chicago. But I'm going to get into the details of that after I read this article from Breitbart News. So let's get right into this. This is a crying shame. This is a crying shame. But it says another retailer is fleeing Union Square in downtown San Francisco this time, a century-old haberdashery known for its hats, and that's crazy, a century old. This place has been around for over a century. Known for its hats, which is leaving what was once one of the most desirable retail locations in America. The departure of Goring Bros, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Goorin Brothers, from its Union Square location is the latest sign that pandemic lockdowns, the shift to work from home in the tech industry, soaring crime in the city, and persistent homelessness are having a devastating effect on the city's downtown. That's a shame, man. That is a crying shame. And notice something here. Just about all of these places are downtown. Have you noticed that? It's always downtown, but I believe there's a reason for that. The article goes on to say the San Francisco Chronicle reported Thursday, Goorin Brothers boutique at 111 Geary Street went dark on June 23rd amid the city's struggle to lure back tourists and office workers. San Francisco has also started losing cafes and restaurants, and nearly a third of its offices sit empty. It's never an easy decision, but it was time, a company representative wrote in a statement. I find that interesting because me and my boss was talking about that last night, about the Walmart shutting down in Chicago, but I'll get to that later on. Since there are a number of reasons, I'm sure, but really it was our smallest location, and there's just been a shift in business plan and direction over the last few years. We have a large store in North Beach still. Founded in 1895, this hat store appeared to be thriving prior to the pandemic, introducing a new line of hats in 2017 that included decadent military headpieces with dangling gold chains and materials culled from an Amazonian fish. That's interesting. San Francisco Mayor London Breed has denied that there is a retail collapse in the city. They always do, don't they? Arguing that tech companies in the Bay Area are investing in new artificial intelligence technology that will spur growth. Man, come on. Anybody with any sense sees that this artificial intelligence is taking over everything. You may need people to work the artificial intelligence situation, but how many people have training in that kind of technologically advanced businesses? How many people have that kind of training? I'm pretty sure that the people that live in that particular area are not trained in that type of stuff. It's basically going to put a lot of people out of business and save the company's money. Let's stop playing games. But for now, the shock that began with the pandemic and continued with the quote mass looting of Union Square stores in November 2021 continues to reverberate throughout the city's once glittering retail sector. And that's the end of that article right there. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward right there. That's a sad situation. That's a very sad situation. But it just goes to show you, as the article mentioned, and as I believe, and as a lot of people that I work with believe, that part of the reason for a lot of these stores and retail stores and restaurant stuff moving out of neighborhoods and moving out of certain sections of cities is because of the large scale looting. Now, as I said earlier, last night, and I'm going to talk about this in reference to this situation here with this hat store shutting down. Last night, around between hours of 10 and 11, my boss came and he began to talk to me and my other coworker as we're outside posted in front of Tower City, like we always do, dealing with all the nonsense. And we began to have a discussion. He has this discussion with me quite often because we kind of see eye to eye with a lot of things. I don't know if he's conservative in any views. I mean, he has a lot of conservative ideas, but I don't know if he's conservative. He's probably just independent. But he just sees a lot of nonsense that is out here that has nothing to do with being conservative or liberal. It's just crazy. Well, unfortunately, the liberals are the ones push this nonsense. But in terms of the politicians, the liberal politicians push this nonsense. But I don't think it's either that. I think it's just common sense and seeing what's going on. But he began to share with me about the idea or the reality, not the idea, of Chicago Walmarts moving out of, just about all of these Chicago Walmarts are moving out of Chicago and moving their businesses out of Chicago. And he began to share with me why that was the case. He says that many of the employees and owners and directors of Walmart were stating basically that this wasn't an easy thing. We didn't do this overnight. This took time. And my boss shared with me that over the course of some years, they have lost over $17 million within a year due to looting. $17 million they have lost due to looting. People coming in, taking products and stuff. And the problem with that situation is, my boss was sharing with me, was that, as I said, these owners and employees and directors of Walmart were basically saying this was not an easy task for us to do. We know that a lot of people were depending on these Walmart stores, but we can't do it anymore. And my boss was sharing with me that they had been dealing with this type of atmosphere since the 80s. So that just goes to show you that they didn't just say, hey, we're going to move our products out of there because we don't like black people. That's not what it was. What it was and what it is that, unfortunately, most of the black people in that area, and when I say most, I'm not talking about, well, let me rephrase that. I'd say a significant number of black people, I don't want people to misread me, a significant number of black people within that particular inner city area, unfortunately, are stealing from these Walmarts and causing problems. Okay, they're the ones that's doing this. Okay, now the reason why I know it's black people is because the mayor of Chicago pooted and snotted and claimed that the only reason why that these Walmarts were moving out was because of racism. This is this. Ooh, Lord have mercy. I don't see why nobody don't see this. I don't see why no one sees the obvious rhetoric here. These politicians, these Democratic politicians, keep pushing because they know black people are going to fall for it and black people are going to vote for them when it comes time to vote. This is a political move based on a lie. And no one's seeing it. So Brandon Johnson, this idiot new mayor of Chicago, is farting and pooting and snotting and hollering about it's racism. Dude, it ain't racism. If it was racism, they would have moved out in the 80s. Get your facts together, bruh. If it was racism, your people, the people that you claim you representing, is the ones that's doing this. And this is bad because there are a lot of black people within the inner city that's not looting, that's not robbing, that's not killing, that's not causing problems, that are decent people. Decent people, hardworking people that want to just live their life and be left alone. Now they have to suffer and find somewhere else to buy their products because of these knuckleheads. And then you got a knucklehead mayor that has the same mentality. Well, it's no, it's not racism, bro. It's not racism. It's looting. It's theft. That's what's going on. And me and my boss was talking about this, and we were talking about our own city here in the city of Cleveland. The city of Cleveland is the same way. Same way. The incident that happened that I called out Saturday about this situation with a shooting, and I heard that the young man died. Another killing on public square. He dies over something stupid, some thug mess, some hood junk. He dies over it. And for what? Anyway, the situation occurred on Ontario, right across the street where there are several convenience stores. And almost every day, they have a problem over there. I am so sick and tired of seeing the police in that area. It is ridiculous. It's like being in the hood. It's like being in the ghetto. And I hate to say it that way, but that's how it looks like there on that side. It's like being in the ghetto. When I do my bike tours, I don't even like going over there because of all the mess. You have people laying in the bus sheds, pooping, peeing, selling drugs, having sex, all kinds of nasty, disgusting stuff in the bus shed right on the side of the convenience stores. You got a Jake's. It's a store called Jake's, and it's another store next to that called Downtown Convenience, and both of them are Jake's is run by Arabs, and Downtown Convenience is run by Indians. And I told my coworker, I said, you know what? Sooner or later, they're gonna leave because of all the constant crime and looting. My coworker was telling me he was talking to one of the owners of one of the stores. He says they're constantly stealing from him all the time. So how he deals with it, he gives the people free pizza. If they don't make a sale, whatever they don't sell, rather, he gives it to the homeless. But sometimes they still get upset with him. This is what bothers me about these people. That's one of the reasons why, and I deal with this all the time, every day in my job. That's the environment I deal with. I work downtown in a Democrat-led city, so I deal with this stuff day to day. So that's why people can't tell me nothing about this stuff, because I deal with it. Well, I don't want to say they can't tell me anything, but I deal with it. People can't come to me and say, well, you need to be compassionate. You need to be this. I am compassionate. But when all you do is show a lack of gratitude with people that try to help you, when all you do is sit on your butt and you don't try to do nothing to better your life, when there's tons of opportunities for these people to get up and do something about their situation, people offer them a way out. They refuse to do it. What they want is a handout without any responsibilities. They don't want you to help them. Not all of them, okay? I'm not saying all of them. Let me get this straight so nobody misread me. I'm not saying all of them are like that, but a significant number of them are. They don't want you to help them. What they want is for you to give them money so that they can use their money to get high or whatever they're doing. That's it. They don't want help. They want handouts without the responsibilities. And it's ridiculous. It looks bad. It's terrible. It's terrible, man. And so I hate to be so cynical, but it's the reality. It's the reality. It's a reality that needs to be exposed. It's a reality that needs to be talked about. Why, just like everybody talking about, well, race is a real issue and we need to talk about it. Yeah, it's an issue. We need to talk about it. We do need to talk about it. But I don't believe racism is the number one problem in our country, particularly among black people. I don't believe that's the number one problem. I believe the number one problem is violence, stealing, and joblessness among a slew of others. And I'm not going to give all of that. But that's the number one problem. Those are the problems that plague the black community for the most part, not racism. This racism thing is just something that Democratic politicians play on black people to get their votes. This happens every 4 years. Candace Owens was right. You may not like her. You might not like the way she presented, but hey, if you're under conviction, you're under conviction. It's like preaching and teaching the word of God. People don't like to hear about Jesus Christ dying for their sins. They don't like to hear about sinning and sin is wrong against God. They don't like to hear about that. It bothers them. They rather live in debauchery. So it bothers them, so they get mad and upset and they don't want to hear it. Well, that's you just mad and upset. You need to hear it. It doesn't matter whether you're mad about it or not. The point is you need to hear it. And then make a decision. Same principle here. People get upset and all upset. But look, man, it needs to be talked about. The reason why a lot of these businesses are shutting down and moving, one of the major reasons is because of this large-scale looting. And here we have another store doing the same thing in San Francisco. And we have the Democratic politicians hollering the same thing over and over and over again. It's racism, it's racism, it's racism. I'm going to tell you something. They're going to continue the Democratic politicians, black and white, are going to continue to use that rhetoric to keep the black vote as long as black people keep letting them do it. They're going to keep doing it because they figure, what's the point? Why should we change our tactics? Why? Black people have been falling for it for decades and have nothing for it. What do we have to show for it? Or rather, let me put it to you like this. What do they have to show for it? Because I'm certainly not voting for them knuckleheads. But what do they have to show for it in their communities? And it's crazy. They'll see all this crime and all this bad stuff going on, and mayors letting these illegals come in and paying for the illegals while at the same time rejecting the residents of the place. And then they get mad and cry out and be angry at the mayor. Well, you the one who voted for him. We told your end, but you didn't listen. Now you got to deal with it. Now you got to deal with what you sow. You reap what you sow. It is what it is. It's not positive, but it is what it is. I'll tell you, I'm going to give you let me end the video on this positive note. There's a positive note. The positive note is this. In terms of those who are doing all this looting, stop looting. Stop looting. Get a job, get a career, get married, buy a home or rent, whatever, and lead a decent life. And that's it. 9 times out of 10, you're probably not going to have any of those kind of problems. You're probably not going to go around. Just stop looting. Thou shalt not steal. Okay? They do so. Let me say this in the video on this. These people do this type of stuff because they know they can do it. The Democratic politicians continuously spin this idea that these people are stealing and looting and committing crimes because they are oppressed and they are in poverty and it stems from slavery. That's a lie. I don't believe that at all, because if that's true, then that would mean every person, that black person that was in poverty and that's in poverty now, would be doing the same thing, but they're not. These people do this type of stuff because they know they can and they can get away with it. That's why they do it. That's what I stand on. But I'm going to tell you something. That kind of lifestyle is going to lead to their destruction and downfall time and time and time again. And that's what I had to say about it. What's you guys' opinion? What's your opinion on this whole situation with this store shutting down and what I just mentioned? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.